with Jesse Quezada. How you doing this afternoon, my friend?
Doing great.
Thanks for your time today. So, yeah, we're just talking freely today about, what it looks like to come on board with you, man.
Yeah, I mean, well, to start off, there's always different options for people to look at, and I think that's the biggest thing is really to try to narrow in where people fit, not only from their strengths, but also where really trying to figure out where they want to put their maximum effort. Some people from the operational side don't want nothing to do with that, so zero effort there. And then, some people that, let's say, financially can't afford to purchase a house or anything like that, and, they're more they're more to do the legwork on the operational day-to-day side of the business. So I think from that standpoint, it's really trying to figure out like where your strengths are, and really where the resources can come from too.
Got it. So then one can be like kind of one in four categories. Is that right? Like property owner is one, leasing to the operator of the business. Number two, an operator of the business who leases from the property owner. Number three, an owner-operator combo. And then four, like more of a silent investor who kind of just puts up the capital and then kind of just expects X amount of return.
Correct. Because we meet people all the time that are, they know enough about the industry. They know they want to be involved in the industry, but most of the time, if they're coming with a good amount of capital, it's because they have their own business or their own other thing that they're running that doesn't allow for them to put time into something like this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So if they came in, as a partner somewhere, it's somebody else that's going to be doing the legwork and putting everything together from top to bottom.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And, everyone refers to the silver tsunami. So, like, if you were to just maybe briefly talk about a couple of, minutes about, what it looks like out there. Why is this a good idea for anyone to get into the RCFE space?
Well, again, some of the statistics that show, there's 10,000 people turning 65 every single day.
Yeah, like 4,000 people turning 85.
Correct. And I remember my wife, she was doing a report or some kind of paper on elderly, and one of the articles that she came upon was just an eye-opener for us. Us being in the industry, at this point, we're all in the industry. I mean, there's no... from financially to our efforts, I mean, everything is really what we're doing right now with our homes. But the article talked about how a lot of people think that the wave is now, but the wave hasn't even really started.
Wow.
And the article went a little bit more into detail on how people that are looking for homes now, are really in their 80s, 90s. But the baby boomers that everybody talks about are really in their late 60s, 70s right now. So they're 5 to maybe 10 years before they need care. So that wave that everybody talks about is coming, but and as much as there is a need now, the need is just going to get greater.
Wow, it's just going to exponentially grow, which is awesome. And it's amazing what you have done with your family over the last few years here. And it's also really great that now you want to share this knowledge and really help other people change their lives. Because, if you own a property, for example, and you live in there, or you have one or more rental properties, for example, the maximum you're going to get for those is, $2-3 grand, $4 grand at the most. But, this is a potential to not only just break even, but to actually have a really great cash flow.
Correct. And again, there is, and that's why, we had somebody that kind of had gone to our meetup and they said, I'll just kind of find my own operator and then, go from there. But at the same time, as much as that's a good model, at the end of the day, the other part of that is making sure that your operator is a good one, because if your operator is not a good one, it doesn't matter what the potential could be, because if they can't run a business, then they can't pay your lease. So it's really important to look at things from from start to finish and not
Right.
just one piece of the puzzle.
And all the pieces of the puzzles, they're working together, and everyone needs to have the right knowledge and expertise. And I think that's what you're going to be delivering with these online classes and the physical live seminars that you're going to be doing. By the way, like and subscribe this channel, and click below for more information. We're going to have a bunch of great links to Jesse's website, as well as more information on how to actually take these courses.
Yep. And again, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is kind of really do our part in sharing our experiences of what we've been through, but really try to make a dent in the homes and rooms that are needed, or beds that are needed, because there is going to be a substantial need. And like I said, we'll try to do our part, but there's definitely going to be, we can't do everything on our own. So there's definitely we're going to have to find a lot of good people to open up more good homes.
That's great. So you're on a lifelong mission to improve the lives of the elderly of this country, because I mean, really, it's a real noble thing that you're doing. It's not about just having a stream of income and making money. I think that's what appealed to me about you the most, is the fact that you treat each and every single elderly person that's in your facilities with care and respect, and you treat them like a human being. You treat them like family, and that's the difference. I think all of us have a story where our family member was in a bigger facility and they were just treated miserably, and so frankly they died a premature death. And so people are robbing other human beings of maybe 1, 2, 3, 5 years, who knows how much life. If we can treat them with respect and give them an alternative to these prison-like facilities that there's just a different option. So I think it's great what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, it's options, and that's what we're trying to give. Because again, some people are gonna like the more big, multi, 100+ bed facilities. That's gonna fit their family member better, which is great. But with this home-like setting, that's what we're really trying to do is let people know there's different options out there.
So what does RCFE mean?
RCFE is a residential care facility for the elderly.
RCFE, a residential care facility for the elderly. Yeah. Great. So let's say someone you talk to someone, they're really interested. They went through your online course. They figured out one of the 4 quadrants that they're in as far as this whole space. What do they do then? What are the next steps for the onboarding process? Yeah,
so kind of once they figure out where they fit in the industry, it's really start building the team. I mean, that's really what, and it doesn't matter what quadrant you're in, a team needs to be built. And I think the success, or any success that we've had over the last 3 years of growing in the industry, it has really been a team effort.
Awesome. And so what does that look like? So that take us like 1 through 10. What does someone have to do? You mentioned something about contracting. Are there certain specifications that a house needs to be? Do the hallways need to be a certain width? Do you have to have X number of emergency lights? What are some of the kind of basic? We're not going to go into all of them, and that's why the online course will do that.
Yeah, the biggest thing is just being ADA compliant. And that's where it'll be important again that it's building your team. Contractor is going to be part of that team.
I got it. And so, do these rules kind of like in the state of California? Do they vary city to city, or is it a state by state sort of thing?
Yeah, it's really state by state. Cities are going to have what they want, anything over 7 beds. So 7 beds and higher, the city's gonna, let you know what they want. But 6 beds and below, it's all state regulated.
Oh, I gotcha. And so if you have a property, you can actually put up to 6 beds in a facility. Let's say, in theory, you have a 3-bedroom single family home. By the way, can you does it have to be 1 story?
No, it can be 2. I mean, most of the time your residence is going to be on the 1st story. Like one of our homes is a 2-story home.
Oh.
But all of our residents stay on the bottom, and that we just have an office and up top. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. So that's great. And so, for example, if I have more than 6 beds, then does that require additional licensing, or is that
Correct.
a whole?
It's going to require you to get what's called a CUP, a conditional use permit, and that's the city giving you their regulations and how how many you'll be able to have in the home, and then what they're gonna make sure that you're doing while you're operating.
Gotcha. So there's definitely like the question of cash flow, because I mean, how long does it typically take? Best case scenario, from start to finish, is it a year-long process? Does it kind of depend?
Yeah, well, it definitely depends. It just depends on what you're doing. If you have a home that's ready, and all you're doing is, let's say, tailoring it ADA compliant. You can be done remodeling, construction, whatever you're doing, a couple weeks. But if it's something like what we've done in Whittier, which is we've added almost 700 square feet to the back of the house, then that's going to be more of a process. And then obviously from there you have the licensing process. But I can say right now it can go anywhere between 3 and all the way up to maybe 9 months right now.
I gotcha. And so then, do you have to, like, if you have a 3-bedroom home, is there a potential that you can have 2 beds in one room?
Correct.
I gotcha. So pretty much like the online course will go over more of the specification. I just wanted to give our viewers kind of a bird's eye view of what the whole thing looks like. So let's say I live in a home, and I also have a rental home. So my property number 2, I'm currently renting it out to a family, and my mortgage is $2,100, and I'm renting it out for $2,350. So I'm pretty much just bringing in $250 a month cash flow. But then with property taxes and everything, I'm not even breaking even. What's the potential in that same 2,000 square foot 3-bedroom home? How much could I make if I leased it to another person who wants to run an RCFE out of that property?
Yeah, it just really it depends on location. And there's a lot of variables, and I think that's where getting into the course and really looking at all the variables and looking at your situation, your resources. It definitely takes some time to get to that point. But I can give you an example. Like, let's say our Lake Forest property, it probably leased to a family for maybe $3,800. And I know properties that are leasing in that area as an RCFE for anywhere between $5,000 and $6,000.
Wow, I understand. And so that if you own a home, you can potentially just rent it out to someone else who does this, and instead of making $250 a month, you can make $4,000 or $5,000 in theory.
Correct.
That's awesome. And so let's get into a little bit. Let's say you own the home and you also want to run the facility. What's the potential of cash flow for that same 3-bedroom home?
Again, there's a lot of variables that go into that, because it's this business isn't like anything else. It's location. So if you're in a good location, and you're able to provide the service that's needed, I can give you an example that typically your beds go anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000-$6,000, just depending on location. So that's why it's so important to make sure that you're in the right space, for sure.
I got it. So let's say, and you're absolutely right. I'm not don't quote me, but so let's say you have a 3-bedroom home and you're able to 2 of the beds or bedrooms are only big enough for, you can rent. You have 4 beds and a 6. Out of the 6. So if you have that, you got $5,000. So you're bringing in $20,000 a month. What about the caregivers? What is the average cost? Do you need? Is it a 1-to-1 ratio, or how many people can the caregiver watch? Like 2?
No, so typically in RCFE, you're going to be anywhere between a 1 to 3, a 1 to 4 ratio. And that's where we and it really just depends on your residents. We know people that operate a 1 to 6, but all their residents are completely independent.
I got it.
So that one care provider is there to make sure that obviously that food's cooked, laundry's done, the essentials of the ADLs are done, but then you have something where you have, 2 or 3 max residents that need max help with everything, all their ADLs.
Sure. So it really depends on that individual situation.
Correct.
It still, I think, overall gives the elderly person, arguably, and like you said earlier, it just depends on what fits for the family, but a more, a setting where they're literally at home. And so I think there's many benefits for the elderly person too, and we'll get into that later. But so what I also wanted to inquire about is that why would this be appealing to just an investor with capital? What's in it for them?
Well, I think the biggest thing is with this model, in my opinion, it's the most recession proof it can be. And the reason why I say that is because obviously nothing's recession proof, but when we really look at it, the need will continue to grow. And when you look at the people that are either now retiring or getting out of the business, there's not enough that are coming from the other side. There's people that are stepping down, but there's not enough coming in. So when you look at it from that standpoint, there's security there to make sure that that these are going to be operated the right way, and then once they are, there can definitely be a good return.
I gotcha. And how does this new law in California affect? I think something about the homeowners are able to actually build out their garage.
Yeah, the ADUs. I haven't got too much into it, but that definitely can open up some opportunity.
Gotcha.
People that are either living in their own house and they create an ADU that can bring in an additional income, or people like you said that have a rental that they're doing that, and then they can build out an ADU on top of that and create more income there. But
so you could even, for example, if you're a homeowner and you have another property, you can have your mom or dad live in this converted garage.
Correct.
At no cost to you, and then have money coming in from the rest of the home.
Correct.
So this is a win-win for everyone, in my opinion. What do people need to do to really? I know. What is the name of your meetup?
RCFE.
6-bed solutions, right?
Yeah.
So RCFE 6-bed solutions.
I think I don't know. I think it's in RCFE Investing, I think. Let me see.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to be announcing, when the next one is. So I think a lot of people that I've spoken to just haphazardly have been, I think a lot of people don't know that this is an option. So I am now completely on board to.
So RCFE REI, which is real estate investing.
RCFE REI. I gotcha. Yep. Meetup. Okay, the subscribers, definitely look for the schedule below. I appreciate you speaking with me today very much, Jesse. It's fascinating what you're doing. I think it's not only an amazing opportunity financially, but it's an amazing opportunity to be of service to others.
100%.